Hi, you're listening to The Island of a Lost Pilot by Rajesh Bhatia, narrated by Deepak Agnihotri. Chapter 5 The Air Crash. 3rd March, Monday. Rohan got off from the plane. By now he was very well conversant with the flying. He was doing everything from takeoff to landing. Now Spike or any other instructor was merely having an eye now over his actions. Spike signed the logbook. 13 hours completed. Alphabetically, Sonu was the next, but as he was not around, Thomas, who had completed 165 hours, joined Spike for his further flight. Soon they were airborne and vanished. 3 or 4 more planes were also visible like small birds. Rohan and Abhinav started watching the planes with their hands cupped above their eyes. Sonu appeared with fast strides, as he was to fly the aircraft, which was to land soon. He also cupped his hand and started looking at the flying planes. "Rohan, look! Rohan, look!" Sonu shouted, and both Rohan and Abhinav looked in the direction where he pointed his finger. A plane rolled one complete 360 degrees turn and was about to roll again, as if the pilot has lost the control over it. "Oh, it is nothing. This must be Spike with Thomas. Spike is an expert in aerobatics, as he was in Air Force. He must be showing some tricks to Thomas, as the latter was asking him one day," replied Rohan. "No, something is wrong," Abhinav said worriedly as the plane rolled another 360 degrees. The plane spluttered and it appeared as if the engine had stopped and the propeller too, but they were not sure. "He must control the plane now. See, the high-tension wires are very near. Oh, shouted Rohan, and the right wing of the plane hit the high-tension wires. The craft, now completely out of control, came down very fast, nose pointing towards the ground, and was lost behind the trees. And within a second, there was a loud bang. Rohan, Abhinav and Sonu looked at one another in disbelief. This whole event had happened within a few seconds. Had they all imagined it? They looked towards the trees. No, it was real. A very thick cloud of black smoke emerged behind the trees. The 3 friends, along with half a dozen more students who had also seen the plane crash, ran towards the hangars, shouting about the mishap. By now, the people in the hangar have come to know about the crash and were already loading some fire extinguishers in a mini truck. There were cries and shouting everywhere. Jeeps and cars from other flying schools had also started and were rushing towards the crash scene, which was about half a mile away. After 2 minutes, they were at that place. The plane was engulfed in a ball of fire and smoke. 2 figures could easily be seen sitting in the pilot's seats, holding the yokes. The figures were not moving, not crying, not struggling to come out of the fire. Apparently out of this world now. The fire could only burn their bodies now, but they will not feel any pain. Fire extinguishers were immediately put to action, and the fire was extinguished within 20 seconds. Front of the plane was charred. The cockpit was crashed. The tail was broken, wheels scattered. One wing was detached and was lying about 50 meters away. It was the same plane which Rohan had left for Thomas, and Sonu was about to fly after Thomas. Rohan and Sonu looked at each other as if saying that it could have been either of them in place of Thomas. Steve, the chief mechanic and one of the partners, had reached along with some mechanics and staff members of the frontline flying school. He looked extremely worried and a bit guilty, as if he was responsible in case of the machine failure. Hands moved to take out the bodies, but the craft was extremely hot and could not be touched. A fire engine arrived. Water jet was sprayed for 2 to 3 minutes. Cracking sound was produced and the plane cooled down. The bodies were taken out and laid down on the ground. Bits of cloths were sticking on the molten flesh. The lips were burnt and clenched teeth visible, as if to suppress the extreme pain they had undergone. Ears were partially molten. As they were holding the yoke firmly, while removing their hands, flesh from the fingers was peeled off and bones were exposed. The most peculiar sight was the position of the hands, which had not changed. The position of holding the yoke was permanently set now. Sonu felt giddy and fainted after this sight. Rohan also was not feeling very good. In fact, everyone was shocked and sad at this horrible sight. An ambulance arrived. Someone came ahead, felt the pulse, looked around and shook his head. It was no news. It didn't need a doctor to tell that these people were not alive. Both were laid on stretchers, hands still bent in that peculiar position. They must have struggled to control the craft and held the yokes so firmly that their muscles had become stiff into position that way, and now rigor mortis was also aiding this process further on. The ambulance was about to move when Rohan called the attention of the attendants towards the fainted Sonu. A doctor came forward, felt his pulse, fixed one injection, and injected the liquid into Sonu's arm. Within a minute, Sonu got up and sat, holding his head. The doctor handed Rohan a few tablets and asked Rohan to give them to Sonu after a few hours and assured that he will be fine. "What about Mr. Spike and my friend Thomas here? Is there any hope, doctor?" Rohan whispered. "They are with God, my dear, and are beyond any hope," said the doctor gravely. Police arrived and the place was vacated. The crash site was surrounded with a tape marked police on it, using the trees' stems, which were all around, as helping poles. An inquiry will take place. All the planes of all the flying schools were called in, stopping all the activities. Rohan, Abhinav and Sonu were summoned in a corner, where a police officer was busy with his inquiry. Steve was present along with one other person. This person was one of the aircraft mechanics with Frontline, who, along with them, happened to witness the air crash. The officer asked them about the crash and made some notes as they narrated the chain of events. Rohan, friends, and other students reached the hostel. Lunch was ready, but no one seemed to care. Nobody, not even the cooks or the guards, were willing to eat. Rohan asked Sonu to have some rest, and the latter denied and assured that he was all right. He also wished to be with other members of his group. However, one member less. All were sitting on sofa sets in the lobby. As Rohan, Abhinav and Sonu were the eyewitnesses of the crash, everyone approaching there wanted to learn about the crash firsthand and ponder over it, so as to find the cause of the crash. The human error was eliminated, as Spike was a very experienced pilot, and to him flying a Cessna 150 was like flying off a kite to a child. Thomas also had an experience of more than 160 hours, and his record was superb. They reached a unanimous verdict that it should have been the fault of the aircraft only. By now, all students have understood that every flying school here was purchasing used, old and outdated planes, denting and painting their bodies, overhauling their engines, reassembling them in their workshops, and handing them over to the flying trainees. Because of all the competition and the running expenses, the use of new planes was not a profitable business. They were simply playing with the lives of the people. Rohan got up and strolled towards the balcony. He felt very lonely and sad and wanted to cry. Friends were there, but at this time, he wanted to be with his family and friends in India. If he were on this ill-fated plane, he and his dear ones in India would have never been able to see one another again. He was away from his family for the last 1.5 months and wanted to be with them at this time. He felt an urge to meet them once, perhaps for a last time. if death came to him in near future, while flying an aircraft like Thomas, at least his soul will not be dissatisfied. Rohan made up his mind and called Shekhar, who was on his way to his factory and had entered Gurgaon after crossing the toll gate at the Delhi border. Shekhar had some work at Delhi and was already late for the factory when the call came. "What is it, Rohan? And why don't you speak?" Shekhar spoke into his hands-free device. "Dad, I want to come to India." "What happened? Do you want to quit this training?" Shekhar asked sternly. "Oh no, Dad. I was just missing you all." "But this is only 1.5 months. We all miss you too, but it is a matter of a few more months only, and you will be here. Aren't you having fun there?" "Dad..." "Yes, Rohan," waited Shekhar. "Dad, something terrible has happened here." "Oh, say something, Rohan." Shekhar was impatient and worried too. "Dad, a plane crash had taken place, and Mr. Spike, our best instructor, and Thomas Bhatia, both had died in it." "What? What are you talking?" Shekhar yelled and applied brakes very hard, not realizing what he was doing. The car screeched and stopped in the middle of the road. Another car also screeched and stopped behind. The driver honked. Shekhar didn't seem to bother. The car backed, moved ahead, and stopped near Shekhar's Ford. The driver rolled down the window, cursed and said something loudly to Shekhar. Shekhar got irritated and waved him away. The driver cursed again and went away. How did that happen? Shekhar was touched to his heart. Through Rohan, he had known Spike and had once or twice spoken to Thomas. Rohan used to praise Spike and Thomas every second day in such a way as if Shekhar felt that he personally knew them well. He came to think about Thomas. He had seen his photographs on the computer. His smiling face appeared in his mind, and 2 tears rolled from his eyes. After all, Thomas was also the son of some father. What will happen to the father who had sent his son to become a pilot, but is now going to receive the body of his son? I will speak to you in a moment, Shekhar said and disconnected. He moved the car further and stopped the car in a corner below the flyover, imagining about Thomas, his father, his mother, and his family. He sobbed, took out a bottle of water, gulped some water, waited for a minute or two, strengthened his heart, and dialed Rohan's number. Why so many crashes and falls are happening to the aircraft there? There must be some reason. Since you are there, do you have some idea? Very much composed, Shekhar asked his son. Dad, I think that the planes here are very old. Many are as old as 40 to 45 years. According to me, they buy scrap bodies and used engines from USA. There is Steve, the chief mechanic and one of the partners here. He overhauls the engines and get them fitted in the repaired junk bodies of the planes. The planes are painted and given to the trainees for flying. Oh, this is very dangerous. Why have you not told me this thing earlier? I would have called you back and not allowed you to fly these junks. Dad, I noticed it, and so did everybody here. But you see that our families have sent us by spending so much money, and so much hope is on us that we prefer to continue the training rather than complaining. Oh, what do a few lakh matter? Your lives are not worth a few rupees. I will speak to Mr. Kapoor, and you are not going to continue further. When the lives are at stake, money is immaterial.